But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win. We choose to go to the moon.
All right, everyone. Welcome to World Blockchain Roundtable. It is episode 58. Topic is NFTs on Instagram. Our hosts for today are Dave from Den.Social.
Hello.
Greg from Rivet. Lisa Mighty Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Satoshi Sean. Jay from Eden. Ross from Global Crypto Press. And I think it's everybody, right? We had updates. And I'm Joe, founder architect Dragon Chain. Quick update on the layer ownership tokens for the roundtable distribution, the DAO. Last week's episode. Every host will get 166 lot. Every topic contributor, 55 lot. Last week's theme suggestion was Josh O, who will get 55 lot. And these ownership tokens come with essentially DAO votes, free edits, and passive income for all of the activity in the layer, people voting up and everything else, all of the topics and questions. And we have a DAO vote that is active. So if you have any lot in the roundtable from having participated by questions or being on the show, please go vote. It's a good test on the system, but it's essentially the naming of the host, because we've never known what to call the person who is reading and introducing and all that stuff. Compared to the other hosts, I mean, we're right now all hosts. So I don't, I wanted to see what
I would say host and panel.
Yes. What's that? Host
and panel.
Host and panel. That's pretty good. Now that's not in the set, but we also had host and co-host that I thought of. Oh crap! I should have gone to the community and asked for more before I posted this, but I thought I'd post it. We can change this.
The Dragon weekly. Master.
Yeah, we could change it weekly if we want.
The Dragon Master of Ceremonies.
Yeah, this is the current event right now that we're branching off on, because I wanted something else too. I just voted this morning. I voted for main host, but I was gonna do other and then come up with something different. At first, I was like, well, what about host and co-host?
There's always a lead host.
The Dragon Master.
Yeah, the Dragon Master.
So there you go. We'll change it. Maybe change it about every month.
We'll swap them out as much as we want, and then we can penalize not using the correct terminology.
Oh,
so keep up with it.
Yes, that'd be great. Penalty. Excellent. So go vote if you have any lot for WBRT. You have the power to choose this very important issue. And next would be current events. So what is the most important current event today? Right.
That is a great question. There's so many. How do you choose? The menu is full.
Yeah.
I think that
my kids are offended by my mug.
Your mug. Oh. I love it. Shouldn't it be a Dixie cup though? Why would that be on a? I don't think they drank that.
I got it in right. I took it out of the box. I'm like, and the room was full of millennials, and they're all like, and I'm like,
you want to bring it up again, Sean? I'll solo you.
I was like, let's drink up.
Yeah.
Just drink it up and look. And they were like, I'm like, it's Jim Jones. And they're like, who's that? And it's the guy, the cult leader, and everyone drinks the Kool-Aid, and they're like, oh, that's terrible. How would you do that? Oh my goodness.
It's dark humor, man. It's like food. Not everyone gets it.
Heaven's Gate was Kool-Aid too, wasn't it? And they were also Dixie cups.
I thought it was lemonade or something. It wasn't quite cool with Heaven's Gate.
Okay, we need to look that up. All right.
I love that we've used the excuse of Sean's Cup to make that a current event to talk about. So let's talk about Kool-Aid cults.
Meanwhile, Jerome Powell has said that they're going to start printing again. So that's probably triggering. I think that's the symbol of like hyperinflation. Yeah.
Like, I want to hear Greg's take on
the current event.
West Virginia versus EPA, because I'm hoping it has broader effect.
It's interesting because there's a lot of sort of heat on the regulatory state right now in terms of what legal precedent could be established. Right, we've already kind of got a hostile to what's the name of that doctrine? I think we've talked about it before. The
Chevron.
Yeah, Chevron doctrine, right? Chevron deference, where they basically let the regulators interpret the law in a way that gives them deference to their interpretation in a way that lower courts don't even receive. So because most propositions of law are reviewed de novo, which is a way of saying we give no credibility to the prior judge's interpretation versus our own. And yet, if you're a regulator, then your interpretation of the law as a non-lawyer, in most cases, supersedes it, and they'll give it deference as if a judge on the panel themselves had already said their opinion. And Chevron deference is kind of in question after some of the more recent rulings of this particular court. So we also have kind of a very aggressive line of courts or of justices that are in favor of a rethink of the Constitution in a way that resurrects some old standards.
That was 6-3. It was 6-3. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. I haven't heard, I've heard, this is going to have broad effect because all the agencies do this. And the thing I don't know is what portion on average, or especially with certain agencies that we care about, what portion are they following literally letter of law that Congress laid out versus, we made these things up. Like when we have our own court, we have these rules. Like, because the EPA there was something on, it's, West Virginia, it was something about coal, and they had caps or something that were not actually called for by Congress. And so they challenged it. It's like, you can't do that because you don't have the authority by the Constitution to tell us that we have to do this. You cannot, that can't be delegated by Congress. It has to be decided. So I'm hopeful that it'll have impact across the board, right? But
well, I mean, if they're going to do what they did with like the Roe decision, it only makes sense that they'll proceed in a similar line of reasoning with the other things that they decide in terms of, actually, I was really surprised by the fact that the leaked opinion was the lead opinion. I didn't think it was going to be. Just based on what I've seen the court do, it's never been so openly one-sided in its debate over whether or not we should consider a reset to some earlier standards. So and that's kind of what we seem to be getting. Yeah. Well, I mean, exactly.
That earlier standard.
Earlier standards would be the ones that were probably closer to the reflection of what the founders really actually intended. But I don't think we're totally all the way there yet, even with this court.
The really weird thing about that whole thing, though, is you look back before it was actually on the table in front of them and they could change the law. You can look at quotes from Joe Biden to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, saying that they are pro-choice, but this law is flimsy. This is not how you go about doing it. This will absolutely not hold up legally. Even if you were pro-choice, this was not worded right to protect that.
Exactly.
And there are pro-choice people who would openly admit that until just a week ago.
Oh, agreed. And they were totally afraid that the proper ruling would give too much freedom to too many people.
And now what they're doing, they're letting people run with the misconception that, okay, so now abortion is illegal everywhere, so we need to vote for Democrats in the upcoming election, and they'll bring it back or something, dude. That's what a lot of people are thinking. They think right now it's just illegal. And in most cases, nothing has changed for you.
But in a lot of cases, it has. Shocked me overnight.
A lot of cases I've heard Utah, Texas, and what I think that's all that I've heard.
No, Missouri was like overnight. There was a lot of states, but they
had laws passed that said that this will go enacted if it gets overturned the day it happens.
They had laws in place that were thrown out the window and they automatically like went back into force. Like
laws that were not off the books because Roe overturned them. Those just became valid law.
So it went back to what the state law was.
Right.
I have a
Usually
very
unconstitutional
odd
laws
theory.
don't get removed.
I have a very odd theory that's very
ignored.
far out there that I've been thinking about. It's probably crazy, but I think personally that the judicial is, and I've talked to Lisa about this, is the last part of our government that works. Everything else is completely broken to where it needs to be trashed. I know that they've put certain people. They've tried to politicize the court and put certain appointees in there. Like the last appointee, when she said she didn't know what a woman was, I thought they should have just said, "Okay, well, thank you. You'll be ruling on that, so we're going to have you leave now." But they didn't do that. But even Trump, he put what's her name in there, and then they had a court case right away, and she ruled not the way everyone thought she was going to rule, because I think that those Supreme Court justices, like, they love the law and hold the law and the Constitution above their own feelings, like the way it used to be.
I would say that Lisa's right, honestly, like about that opinion, because the court has maintained its independence.
Yeah, no, that's what I think. I think
absolutely.
I remember I watched this documentary on Muhammad Ali. I loved Muhammad Ali growing up as a kid, and they had like behind the scenes, like real, stuff that they got from interviews and affidavits and stuff, and there were terrible people on the court at that time. I mean, massive racists who these judges hated him, but they ruled for him because they knew what the law was, and they loved the law more than they hated him or had their own prejudices. So I really believed in the Supreme Court, and I think that is the last thing that's going to go down. I think that Roe v. Wade was part of a plan. If you look at what Clarence Thomas put out for gun rights right before it all happened, and the wording of it, and all this came out right when a lot of Republicans switched sides and signed this gun bill, which just got signed, puts red flag laws in all states now. Your ex-girlfriend can go down and say that you're a risk, and the government can come in and take all your guns by force. Right now, it's done. They can take your property when you haven't been convicted or even charged with a crime. There's a lot of things are happening, and the only way they can be stopped is by this last branch of the government that works. And
that's not quite, Sean. We can't be too optimistic yet, right?
Well, I think if you look at how things are now, they're talking about either stacking the court or just getting rid of it. I mean, everyone hates it because of the Roe v. Wade thing. They don't understand the ruling. They don't understand the law. They think it's like everyone's saying, just immediate, abortion is cut out everywhere. And it was about states' rights. And
I would love to disagree with you a little bit on that, Sean, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people do understand what it was about, and about half of the nation is experiencing immediate side effects on that. And I briefly talked to Lisa a little bit about this, and like a lot of this comes down to there's a little bit of a theological difference in opinion. There's a little bit of like, at what point is a human a human?
That's not what it's about. That's not what Roe versus Wade is about.
But it is.
No, it's not.
Yes.
It's not. It's
Yes.
If you read
in my
Alito's opinion, it says that the issue that they couldn't decide on it is that they shouldn't be deciding on it. That it should be decided at the state's level.
I agree with that.
The Supreme Court shouldn't be discussing it. Period.
I agree with that.
That's the only thing they decided. They didn't say yes or no either way.
I agree with
legal verbiage. They link it to privacy in this really weird argument.
Yeah.
That is just
Right.
So this is the real danger.
Nothing to do.
Greg's a lawyer.
Yeah, they did not.
It actually totally did.
It's not part of
I want to know what Greg says on it. What did
This is the danger of that opinion, in terms of what it does to the rest of our freedoms. because right now it has done something that a side that traditionally sides with the conservative side of the court would agree with, but this is an entire different line of reasoning. The question at stake is really what's called penumbral rights, the notion that embedded within the enumerated rights are additional rights that protect you further. You know, like, is the right to unreasonable to be free of unreasonable search and seizure, and to speak freely, and to not be placed twice in jeopardy, right? Are all these freedoms meaningful if we don't have a right to privacy embedded into the Constitution as an implication of the others? And the question,
okay,
that question it turns on a lot more things. Like, do we have any right to be free of NSA surveillance domestically?
I would think that would be unlawful search and seizure, yet it goes on.
Mm-hmm. Objectively,
the Fourth Amendment's dead, right?
Objectively, a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of stuff that's done by our government is objectively illegal and unconstitutional. Absolutely, yeah.
It still sets up an opportunity for the exercise of more state power should the federal government decide to, I guess, is the problem.
Right, but I don't think that's a problem. I would rather be able to move from a tyrannical Washington state to a place that is less tyrannical, right?
Right, but without having to move to Canada, federal legislature from making a new law that says abortion shall be banned everywhere.
Right, I'm very pro state rights. I just don't think that this is a states' rights issue. I think it's a human rights issue, and that's why I said that there's a difference of opinion on how that's applied and why it's applied, and if it's
now this is my point that I was making. We just had a lawyer tell you what it is, and you're talking about a heartbeat.
I mean, everybody's a lawyer, right?
I don't think states should have this. You can't have slaves in any state. You can't have, you know what I mean? Like, there's rules that are not a states' rights issue. It's human rights.
And
that's but then you get into the conversation of what's a human.
Before you could.
And that's the only reason I started with that conversation.
Do all humans, yeah.
Because that's where it leads.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Like, it's just that the interpretation of the data is different
by the way,
based on who's reading it.
The big picture here is that this is the danger of democracy, that a mob isn't necessarily evil and bad in and of itself. It is that a mob is so easily manipulated by demagogues that, and something that's so emotional like this. Why do you think that the time right before midterms they're going to put out an opinion on Roe v. Wade? It's like it's comical. It's a freaking meme. It's the Supreme Court as a meme machine. And so it's basically said, what is the thing that's going to cause the most riots before the midterms? It's like, oh, Roe v. Wade, oh, guns.
Okay, they sided with the conservatives on their ruling, but then this will actually sabotage them in the election.
That's what their thought is, right? That's what I
guess to me the ruling was really saying that no, there are no fundamental rights that aren't enumerated.
I guess that's why I get frustrated that that's not what Roe v. Wade is about, because it is inciting these mobs and it's causing people to get upset about what really hasn't even been decided at each state, and can still those conversations can still happen. But they have people just read the headline and they get fired up by the meme machine, and literally, so our kids' phones are tied to our phones, and we start getting text from Planned Parenthood to, meet up at the Capitol. And I'm like, what the heck is this? And so they're inciting,
Okay, I got one point.
Whatever.
This argument, if you want to have this argument, I'll tell you.
But it's not this argument. That's what I'm saying is we should be talking about.
Point here. If you look at Florida,
states' rights,
super strict. Very red, very, very red. DeSantis is, the demigod of the conservative party.
Once again, you're distracting us from a real conversation.
The abortion laws in Florida are 10 times, I think it's actually 7 times, whatever. They're massively more loose and liberal than like 90% of Europe. And people in Europe are like, oh, this is terrible. Oh, America's so puritanical. Still, in Florida, those laws are way.
So I'm sorry. I live in Florida and I go to Europe a lot. What's the deal?
The abortion laws through almost all of Europe are way, way more tyrannical and strict. And
I don't know a lot about that particular law over there.
This is what I've heard. This is European news. from European news, this is what I've heard, than Florida, which is one of the most conservative states. So it's just such, like Joe said, it's just such a controlled argument, and it's meant to fire up people on one side against another side, because every liberal in all of Europe is just, oh, America's so puritanical and they're controlling. When really in their own country, their laws are way stricter.
And by the way, this is in my opinion, at least a good demonstration of one of the good principles that was put in place with the Constitution, with the United States, which was that you had the ability to move from state to state. If you didn't like it in this state, you can move over there.
That's
they literally are
just what you said.
States. Yeah.
If you look here, if you don't like that, then you can go to another state.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposed to have 50 different countries that are all together. 50 different countries that can run themselves, living together for like a collective,
So as a Floridian, I was actually in the streets this past weekend protesting. I was saying abort the court. I think a lot of us actually really angered that they're taking away human rights, which leads to taking away more human rights, such as, even though they just took away abortion, they're going to take away gay rights and trans rights probably very soon, and probably even more.
That's so ridiculous.
That's what a lot of people are worried about, because it's just opening the door to taking away rights.
Let me ask you something. Jay. A lot of my friends here, I'm in San Francisco. A lot of my friends were out protesting too. That's, I'm in the left-wing capital of the world, and I'm pro-choice. Now, as somebody who you're in crypto, I'm going to assume you're fairly well educated, who actually read the law and understood why it was overturned, and that they did not rule on if it was a life or not, and that it was a flimsy law, and that you could find left-wing legal heroes quoted saying this is a flimsy law, it will not hold up. Why were you so bothered by that? I feel like the TV had to have hyped you up, because it really wasn't that complex. I'm pro-choice, and if you read the law, it was not surprised it was overturned. It was predictable, and it wasn't them ruling on if it was good or bad. It really wasn't.
100% agree with Ross. Everyone's just being.
What riled you up? I want to know. What riled you up?
It wasn't offensive. That's the problem. It
wasn't offensive as someone pro-choice.
The Constitution has to.
What was offensive is that no one on the left had ratified it as a new law. In all the times that they had a majority in the House and the Senate and the White House, none of them bothered to do that. That's what happened. That's the only reason this happened, because they all slack off when they get the power. They're just more obsessed with getting more money and more power and not doing anything to protect rights. That's what happened.
They could have passed
a law that never should have passed got overturned. That's the only thing that happened. It's not offensive.
We should debate when a life starts.
No. Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's how did we get here, and then there's where are we?
This is what they want us to do, guys.
Well, I think what Jay is saying right now is, if you let the gays marry, then they're going to want to marry kids, and they're going to want to marry their cars.
Well, that's your argument.
No, this is what they want us to be arguing about.
Well, that's what they linked
that's
abortion to gay people.
It's a human right. And that's the thing. It's a human right to have the freedom to have a decision. Because, hey, if you don't want an abortion, don't get an abortion.
So it's a human right to kill.
Human right aside. When it's illegal, they were still getting them. That's what the people on the other side have to realize. You can be anti-abortion, but you have to face the reality that they were aborting their babies when it was illegal. A lot of them, dude. So let's just face reality, and it's not pretty. Reality is disgusting. The world is a harsh place. And there's a lot of times you got to just bite the bullet and accept what's happening. And on one side, I think you're insane for thinking that law should be overturned. That kind of thing. And the pro-life people are insane for thinking that people won't get abortions if there's not a law that allows it. Everyone's going nuts right now.
I'm going to get crucified for saying this, but I will say, I almost went into genetics, right? I freaking loved the subject. I knew there was a future in it. But I was a CS major, so I went that path. But when you look at it, if you look at it anything other than by genetics, then there is no point other than, it's breathing air versus not, that you could say that it's alive versus not.
Absolutely.
No, that's what I'm saying. Genetically, as soon as it is a zygote, it's a human. Now, whether or not you say, okay, at a certain period, you can say it can't survive outside the womb, but that's even.
That's a conversation. If you take that argument, then you actually can merge all the species.
This whole thing is the distraction. This is okay. Remember that Roe v. Wade was about the states' rights and and actually, because the states have rights, it's actually saying the individuals should be deciding at a state's level. And we are all having this conversation. This is the distraction. people are willing to get upset and go stomp around and carrot baby
Roe v.
doll,
Wade itself
do
was a
whatever
manipulation.
dramatic things.
Like that whole thing
And
was set up.
meanwhile, you're going to give up your own individual rights, your rights at a state level to have this overlord.
See, this is where I disagree, but I think it's the same point. I just see it through a different lens,
decision.
maybe. Because I'll read a quote from.
Because if you believe this is so true, then you would believe that every state would decide that this is. Every state would decide, yes, slavery is wrong.
So here's what I'm saying, though, and I just want to really quickly read a
abortion
quote
is
from a
wrong.
Supreme Court justice, a quote
Every
on
state
Roe
can
v.
still
Wade.
decide that.
And this is
right and we're all a little wrong. Is the
I agree with this opinion from Ginsburg, basically, is what I'm saying. And she said that it is essential to a woman's equality with man that she be the decision maker, that her choice is controlling. This is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If you impose restraints that impede her choice, you are disadvantaging her because of her sex. And that's where I believe that it's a human rights issue that shouldn't be a state's issue. It should be protected on the federal level, so that no state can
get a freaking amendment instead of relying on a poor decision, which was,
sure,
like I said,
that's great.
They set that up.
Ruth also thinks 13-year-olds should be able to say
Roe,
it when it's
exactly.
okay to have
Ginsburg
sex,
is not a really good moral authority, but
right.
She has some good opinions and maybe some bad
Roe,
ones.
you read the story of Roe v. Wade and realize that it was set up by lawyers who simply wanted to get that precedent in place. That Roe, I can't remember her real name, later admitted that the entire thing was a lie. The entire setup of the case was a lie. She was against abortion later. She tried to get a hearing in front of the Supreme Court to show that she had perjured herself. They never heard it. Right. So what of that do you guys know? And the fact that the whole thing is manipulated, and that's been
the level of manipulation. Dude, there's people.
Guys, here's an interesting hypothetical that might take some
went out into the heat and went out and fought. I mean, Jay went and fought in the heat for this. He was that riled up.
I was there. I was there too. Yeah.
I mean, that's something so. That's like it, man.
I made a sign.
That's not just going and going out, but that's like the most people can do right now. You are that
the
riled
great
up.
Distraction.
That riled up because of this. I think it's massive manipulation, and we're like, see, it's blowing my mind.
So suppose for a second
it's not a distraction.
You wake up.
It's not manipulation. It's none of that. No.
Suppose for a second you wake up and you're hooked to a violinist, a concert violinist, the greatest one in the world by an apparatus. And this apparatus feeds them and keeps them alive. And you wake up and you're foggy and the doctor says, don't worry, this is only going to be 9 months. We need your body. And they go, well, don't I have any right to unplug this?
Wait, real quick though, Greg.
Is there
an analogy?
Is there a distinction in this analogy that matters?
I'm going to tell you the analogy. You're missing the source. Did I have a choice to get into that?
Is that relevant to the exercise of state power?
I would think so. There are choices, and theoretically, if you went to a traditionalist viewpoint, the man would have
deprived the world of a really talented musician.
How about this? You wake up.
If you unplug it,
you wake up, Greg. You wake up on a cot, and you're tethered to the U.S. Army for 3 years because you signed a contract and you made the decision. Now, does your state get you out of that? No.
You signed that contract.
It's
like if it's a genetic contract versus a written legal contract.
Well, I'm not taking. I'm trying to show.
I mean, the answer is yes. Your state would get you out of that if you were coerced into it, if you were forced into it.
You signed it. You signed it. Now, if it was rape, if you were raped and now are in the army,
in Roe v. Wade, it says except in case of rape,
right?
In case the woman's
but that's what Roe v. Wade said, though. That was in the law that had further rulings for precedent, and that's what just got overturned.
That's where they're giving misinformation out there, though. In the thing, it says that except in case of rape, incest, or the woman's life is in
so
danger.
Right now you're saying that the decision that was made to overturn Roe v. Wade included a clause that said except for in those cases, which all states had to abide by.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. I don't
No,
know.
guys,
That is what I was
Going
told was that it
further
was
on
Gotcha.
what we're
that
talking
it was
about.
including
In
those
the
things.
chat,
I'll read it again for sure.
They're asking a
It's why it's
Yeah.
such a
real
good
question.
divisive issue.
They're asking a nasty question. They're asking a reality question from what Ross brought up. Very ugly question. Will it lead to civil war? My state disagrees with your state. We got to do something about it. Rage mob, etc. Now here, this is something that's interesting.
There are a lot
Because
of other brutal
Jay
exercises of police
and-
power that aren't
and
hypothetical.
Dave
right
went
now.
out and they protested and they're angry. They are, and the left is, and I'm not saying pro-choice, pro-life. I'm just saying reality. Reality is the people that are pro-life are the conservatives, are armed, and they're defending a life. They're not defending a right. They're not defending a side.
Right.
They're
Right.
not defending a thought.
And I can sympathize with that, because
I'm talking
if you
about- but I'm
think
saying
that this is a
violence-
baby, it is a life, I can
Yes,
understand your point of view.
But I think those people
What if your
are
stance
going
is,
to go to
I just don't want
violence
state
sooner
power?
than the other side. I think those people, if it goes to violence, are morally they're defending a life. They are going to fight a lot harder.
Both,
than the picket sign.
and that's the weird
Hey.
thing, is both sides are saying the same thing.
I don't think
They're just
it'll
saying
lead
it about
to-
different like the left is defending a life too, is defending the life of the woman and the choice of the woman.
choice.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
just throwing that in there.
Live.
No,
Wait,
No,
okay,
no,
okay.
it
I got a
is.
better
It's a
question.
similar
Die.
argument.
I'm talking
You're
about
just
this question in the chat.
She's not going to die. She's going to have a baby.
okay.
versus
You can
state
give the
violence.
baby.
And if it does,
she might die.
one side.
It's like over
one side-
No,
$25,000
it
to
said
have a
if she
baby.
was
Not
in
everyone has
danger,
this money to just
much
birth
more-
the baby or even raise the child. All because they're taking away the rights to abortion means they're not actually caring about the children that are going to be born or actually giving it a right
What did
life.
you just say? That
Real
because she
possible.
can't afford to raise the baby,
Right.
Not
Yeah.
everyone can afford to raise the baby if they're forced to
then
have
you
a child.
can get help and you can give up a
Who's
child.
going to give them
I have
help?
been
Is
in
the
foster
government going
care.
to give them actual help?
Jay-
Because
By the
There's
way,
the
it's not
community,
providing-
there's
Jay is
government help,
completely
there's
right.
all kinds
I
of
think
help.
Jay is
Real quick,
completely right on
guys.
this.
The problem
Guys,
is that
government
right
doesn't
now,
care about
guns
the
have
people.
been right.
No,
And
really
women
good.
does
Not
not
I've been in
have
foster
a
care
problem,
adoption
too.
for
Talking
over
about
20
murder of
years,
babies,
and
people, there's all these guns
Yeah.
murdering all these people, and then
Hey,
nothing's
guys.
being done about the mass
Guys,
murder.
but the thing that everybody's ignoring is the initiation of it. That you name one of any of these state laws that might go into effect that would not include an exception for rape and not include an exception for the health of the mother. In which case, you can't say the life of the mother.
Well, we don't. I've not done a survey of all the state laws.
And you don't have to keep a
but
born
that's-
baby.
that's
dude.
like-
that's a
There
big
are-
deal.
That's
You
what I'm
don't have to
saying.
keep a born
You
baby.
have a choice, and I would
There
say
are
they
some
pushed.
conservatives who do
they-
who do say no, not even in those.
And I'm no
I
longer.
haven't not
used to
heard
be
that. I was
conservative.
told that in all of
I
those
personally
cases.
know
Can-
people that have run.
Can
on
I
that
say that they pushed degeneracy forever? So now having these things occur would have never happened 50, 60 years ago, or at least it would have been, a totally different thing, because the man wouldn't just say, I'm gonna, do this and then walk away. Right. That's the issue that brings up all this BS, because why the hell is this person pregnant anyway? Now, if it was for rape, again, those exceptions are there. You can argue those, but that's not really the issue. The issue is if knowingly someone goes in and does something that ends up in this situation, both the male and the female should bear responsibility.
Right.
And if you don't want that, there are plenty of fucking avenues to not get pregnant. I mean, I've never gotten a female pregnant when I was
guys,
single.
we would be remiss to not.
Next up is contraceptives being also probably banned
We
too.
would be, we
Oh,
would be
that-
remiss to not
come on,
acknowledge.
give me a
Hey,
break.
guys, seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah, but dude, Joe, that's
To be
the
fair,
harsh reality is that we don't want to
remiss not
accept.
acknowledge there's a
It's
new
just
domain
full
for
of
the
stupid people,
exercise
dude.
of state power that wasn't there before.
Well, here, I'm going to tell you a truth. This is reality. I love that Ross made this point about reality being
I'm going to be fair to both sides here.
being ugly, but it's also stupid. Here in Texas, it was completely legal to have an abortion because it's not a life, right? It's not a life. If you bump into a pregnant chick, you can get arrested for attempted murder. If you hit your significant other, or if you hit a pregnant woman, it's assault and attempted murder.
I think even federal and even most states that are blue have laws that if you kill a woman who is pregnant, it's murder of two, right?
I had a
Yes.
friend who fell and hit his wife and knocked her down. And she went to the emergency room. There was nothing for that, but the police came in. He was charged with attempted murder, and then it got dropped.
Wow.
That's how strict shit is here in Texas. And abortion was legal. And that didn't make legal sense.
He was not a practitioner. He was not licensed.
Well, and no one's bringing up that in these abortion laws, they were wanting to kill babies up to 28 days after birth. So let's not skip over that. If we're going to talk about some ugly truth, that is a real thing.
There's a lot of moral opinion on this.
The stuff that Jay is talking about is what if could happen. What if this could happen? They could ban contraception.
That's not a what if.
I think Jay was more talking. We should move on to the actual.
Actually, guys, do you mind if I derail us for a second?
Talking about actually was real.
This is really good, and I'm happy that we all have such varying opinions. And
I want to get on this real fast.
Well, hang on, we do have to do the show. I just want to say, like, respectfully to everyone, we've all got varying opinions on this, and I think that is good in the sense of it makes this interesting and worth listening to in the first place. So I don't think I'm hosting today, but I just wanted to say thank you, all of you, for being willing to have this debate with people that we know each other and we know we're not like ill-intended, and we can hear each other's opinions and disagree, and sometimes, like strongly disagree with force, but it's, this is the adult conversations that people need to have. And I appreciate that.
And I will say the one of the issues with this particular subject is that it is so hard to talk about rationally because the emotions are so high. I mean, I live in Seattle, right? So I probably don't know a single person who is pro-life, and yet, therefore, you can't bring up a subject and in mixed company. There are assumptions made. Oh, all of us are pro-choice here. We're in Seattle. Right. Everybody's pro-choice. It's a really interesting thing.
It's a mixed bag. It's like 50-50 across the board. It seems like if you were to throw everything into one bucket, it seems like it was 6-3 or 5-4, and it's about 40-60 or 50-50, like with the people that I talk to anyway. So it's very important to a lot of people, and that's why it's something that's difficult to talk about.
So I don't know how many questions
you guys remember, but when this first leaked, I was like, oh my god, I'm scared. Because I don't know what this is going to be a distraction for.
I didn't know.
Growing up, this was this is it.
I
see.
That when I was a kid, was big enough to make your family argue.
There's a reason.
This is the biggest thing.
The distraction of what I mentioned.
Well, after talking,
Jerome Powell's starting to print.
I think it's midterms.
And it's
I think
the
it's
death
midterms.
of the dollar.
They're trying to get everyone riled up for the midterm so they don't forget to vote. So that that's
they don't want people looking at the the Biden administration's performance and going into midterms with that in mind. They want them to go.
That's true. Speaking of that, the FOIA just came out that exposed all the Benghazi stuff too. So.
Oh, really? Link that to me. I want to read that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Throw it up on the politics layer, and
I have heard,
you have an account.
Oh, okay.
So when I sourced this, that the West Virginia versus EPA is supposedly more impactful than Roe v. Wade because it would affect, in a good way, in my opinion, all the regulatory agencies. But okay, so let's go to questions.
All right,
real quick, I just want to say that. That if anybody has not checked out the situation around Gret Gleyer's murder, that this guy created a charity application that got funding directly to people in need right when they needed it. We're talking like somebody has a bill they can't make in like a third world country where they otherwise would not be able to get help, and this could actually get help directly to them and fast enough to make a difference rather than going through some mega charity. Lived in freaking DC, in the DC suburb, and is like the first murder there in 17 years. He was shot while he slept. This is something that happened while all this shit was going on.
The full name, Greg?
Gret Gleyer is the name of the guy, and the application's DonorC.
Was it just an app or was it crypto?
It was a charitable organization that was not crypto related, but it was one that I have a great deal of respect for.
Okay, I saw something about it. I didn't know what the subject was. That's interesting.
Yeah. So
that's too bad.
It's terrible news, but there's something weird behind it because this guy had an application and a movement on hand that could have taken out a good chunk of the need for international mega charity.
You think the WEF or the United Way is responsible?
I have no idea who is responsible, but his death is very suspicious.
UNICEF.
Wow.
Interesting.
UNICEF.
Yeah, I've got that pulled up. I'll look at it later. Thank you for
UNICEF
that.
has done some nasty stuff, so wouldn't doubt that, right? Oh, okay. So
Joe, I pulled up what Instagram's messaging is on this, just to get an idea of how they're pitching it.
Okay, so digital collectibles. So essentially, people can. I did see something that was kind of cringeworthy on one of the quotes. I feel excited to be able to share my NFT journey with the community I've been cultivating on IG for over 10 years. I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
My NFT journey. It's like, do any of us have an NFT journey?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. It's just nothing like what everybody's talking about.
They're like, oh, I'm just like, this is core. I don't know. Anyway, okay.
My NFT journey is learning that all the things that I care about and the capabilities of them is not what like the average person on the street cares about. I'll quote Chain Flip Labs and say on one of their blog updates they said should have just made JPEGs.
Me and Dave are on the same journey.
Yes. Okay.
Right, so we've got. Go for it, Joe. Here we are.
Yeah. So first up, Passport Gang. What's the catch of Instagram NFTs, and what's the dark side? That's two questions, but either way, what's
What
the
blockchain
catch,
are they
what's the
running
dark
on?
side?
What blockchain are they using?
They are using
and Polygon
Ethereum,
are currently supported.
Polygon. They're going to support Solana and a fourth one. I can't remember what it was.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But yeah, they rolled out with Ethereum and Polygon. So what's the catch? I mean, I'm not an Instagram user. I had an account way back. I haven't signed in many years, just to kind of experiment with it, see what it was. But I don't know how they would be. Are people sharing static art there, or I mean, I know some artists do things, on Instagram.
Instagram's pretty hot. There's a lot of artists on Instagram.
I got
and that makes sense. Yeah.
The way that the NFTs work is that it connects to your wallet, so you can actually view your NFTs that you've collected. The artists that they shared on that website, the Digital Collectible Introduction, they have Gary V, Jen Stark, Atom Bomb Squad. If you visit their profiles on the mobile app, you can actually see the NFTs that they're showcasing on their profile. So it's just a new way for people really to show off their NFTs, what they've collected, especially with Facebook or Meta's vision of the metaverse. And that's kind of, I guess, the dark side, is that it's bringing more people easier access to their digital assets in this metaverse of theirs, their Horizon worlds that you can eventually show off your NFT or your game items from another video game in their metaverse, and eventually, of course, show it off in other metaverses.
Jay, this sounds more like an open, what is it? What is that? The main site?
What is this now?
What's the main NFT site right now?
OpenSea.
OpenSea, yeah. So are they competing with them?
They're not.
I don't think it's a marketplace.
Any
right?
NFT in your wallet, can you sell it on there?
Well, that's also the dark
it's
side.
about like creators and stuff. And people get really pissed.
Instagram.
People are very pissed at creators. People are very pissed at influencers because they say that they make this NFT and then they just abandon the project. And these things have no utility. The dark side of this is that it's the same as it's always been. It's just new. It's just the next evolution of it. When I was a kid, I bought a painter's hat, a Quiet Riot painter's hat that were like $3 for $1. I paid, let me think, hold on. I paid equivalent to like $150 because it was like $20, but minimum wage was like $3 back then. So it's like $100 and change for a painter's hat that I saved up and I bought when I was 12, right? And I was mad. My parents were mad. They're like, that's a painter's hat that costs pennies, and they just put a logo on it, and it didn't last long. And that's all these NFTs are. They're you buying merch, but it's just digital.
There
merch.
is a real use case for NFTs if it will be implemented.
No.
Yes.
These are
Yes.
these are Instagram NFTs that we're talking about.
Yeah,
And
there's no
people
use for
get
that.
pissed off, but the
Okay, so
reality
we're staying
is
with
it's just their
Instagram.
merch. It's just their merch. It's just digital merch, and people are expecting something more. But that's all it is, man. And
That's
if you're
what
gonna buy it,
There are so many use
on
cases
you.
for something that proves you own something. I mean, that is massive just in the world of contracts. But how they're being used now, I have yet to see anything productive done in
This
NFTs.
is, in my opinion, the dark side of this is that it's an also ran. It's like, oh, we need NFTs too because we're
the dark side is clearly
there are a couple
that you're giving
projects that are
Facebook your wallet address and hooking it to your brand.
Oh, yeah. Well,
there are
that's
a
just
couple
using
projects that
Instagram.
are doing it different outside of the Instagram thing.
But you're
I know,
signing on the chain
like
to
Pack. You actually it's not just a picture or a JPEG. It's not just saying you own the JPEG. You actually own the data of the NFT. So it's
so Lisa's right. There's some cool stuff out there. It's just
of you being you, in the context of a company that hoovers up an ass load of data, bundles it, and resells it.
I'll tell you what. In my opinion, this is one of the other dark sides: the adoption, which is geared towards the
not saying I won't use it.
Non-philosophical utility, that it's just a BS equivalent to a crypto bro, but it's going to be an Instagram celebrity bragging that, oh, I got this stupid piece of art that has been manipulated to be worth $10 million. It's total bullshit.
That's where my concern lies.
That's what it is. See, my use case for my Quiet Riot painter's hat was I got to show it to all my friends, and I was a badass. And now the use case for the NFT is all your little friends in that group, those million, 2 million, 5 million, 10 million followers of that person. They can all see that you like that person so much, you're so into that group or that influencer, that celebrity, that you own this NFT and they don't.
Yeah, perfect for fan clubs, the super fans, all that. Yeah,
true.
Yeah, and
you're gonna think anyone who would give somebody money on like Patreon, now they could give money on Patreon and get an NFT in return, but it's that transaction done on Instagram.
Yeah,
that's cool, I guess. I mean, they're getting nothing.
I guess
now.
it is. A subpoena to Facebook will now give the IRS access to your blockchain data.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
they already,
no one needs to give access to that. I mean, already can.
No, I mean, like they will actively link you to
link your wallet ID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You will now have
no different
graphically signed proof
right?
That
Twitter's
Facebook can give the feds.
Correct.
So,
what are your guys?
It's if you trust Jack versus Zuck, right? And by the way, speaking, maybe anyway,
on the Instagram NFTs, what are your thoughts on, how they would use artwork as, or thinking of the first son, his latest art pieces, went for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? And some people suspected that could be a form of money laundering, hypothetically. NFTs, like these Instagram NFTs, I guess that could be a dark side of that. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really. I have a kind of weird opinion on this because I don't really think that the money laundering regime has been effective or constitutional. I think that the Bank Secrecy Act itself probably should have been overturned for similar grounds as they've overturned a number of things recently. Not going back to the old subject, but there's a fair justification for the Bank Secrecy Act being a violation of our constitutional rights as they're written.
But there is the fact that even from the context of crypto interested people and people on crypto Twitter and so on, that what one context would be, that's money laundering. But the other context is that's fucking manipulation. If you want to have a successful NFT project, you just need to have a VC sitting there ready to guarantee enough purchases of those NFTs. And now they're supposedly this freaking horrible piece of artwork that is priced at, and you can say, oh, but it's beauty in the eyes of the beholder. It's like, that's total bullshit.
Well, it's also a community point, right? Like that's not true, right? Like you can't say that art projects as itself, like even the procedurally generated monkeys, right? They end up creating a community around that. It's a rallying point.
Yes, but are you going to tell me that there's no manipulation, that someone wasn't there with enough money? Just like Luna didn't magically get millions and millions of people to put in as much as was capitalized there. There was a lot of behind the scenes. We're going to guarantee success because I'm going to put in 250 million into this, and this guy's going to put 500 million in. Oh, it's a success, right? Until it isn't. And those people were the first out. They basically caused the success to get everybody else in, right? So
different about that than
If
from
you're
like a
looking at-
primetime TV
We're
show.
talking about anyone on Instagram could sell this stuff. If you're looking at money laundering, I think the question needs to be raised: what about like politicians? Now, I don't know how. I mean, I know there's certain laws for contributions, but what about merch? Because this, I think, would fall under merch. And I know that campaigns make money from selling their merchandise. You can look at the red hats. That was like a huge phenomenon. But what if someone's able to, a lobbyist or someone else, to buy an NFT for $10 million? They couldn't give that money to a congressperson or a campaign in any way. But if they
I will
bought
tell you,
a piece of merch,
I gave
to do that, wouldn't they?
I gave
Oh, yeah,
more
totally.
than the FEC amount to a reportable amount to the McAfee campaign in I think 2016 campaign, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was never reported. McAfee didn't. I looked like, oh,
now we're
I
going to
wanna
have
prove
to bail
someone.
you out, Joe.
Because I sent it in Bitcoin. Well, it's their responsibility to report. I put my name in as per proper. It should show up on the FEC site as more than $350 or whatever the minimum is. I think I gave like $400 or $500 worth of Bitcoin to McAfee during that campaign. It wasn't reported. So yeah, I would say NFTs might be an avenue to do that.
Well,
But
isn't that a good
anyway.
thing?
It could be, and there's two. Here's two quick things. Is one is like that is an equalizing force. Yes, it allows things like I don't know.
But guess what?
It's a tool that allows a certain thing. Well, guess what? The only people that can do that right now are the white collar criminals. They got a monopoly on that sort of crime through the banks.
I guess my thing is, it's not really the question at hand, though, because
no,
it is okay, in my opinion. Yes, as a liberty-focused individual, it is okay that that's possible. But the problem is, it should just be possible with any other form. It shouldn't be, oh, I have to use this crypto to do this, because in the end, it's going to affect those of us who are building legitimate projects in crypto. Because when we go into customers, all they know of is crypto bro bullshit and asset transfers and JPEGs. That's all they know.
Yeah,
and
that was my one
to
issue
say,
I was going to say earlier.
You could do this with it. You could do this with it, and it's like, oh, we don't understand that. This is what I understand.
The market, right?
Yeah, dark side wise.
No,
like,
but I'm just saying those are the dark sides of these things, where you get it tied up into something that is a bullshit excuse of a utility, and it affects
wait
the.
a second though.
What's
What
that?
about
Okay.
NFTs that offer functionality? Like there's this one.
That's
there's
great.
A new NFT out-
That's
right.
what we mean.
the
Is that what
audio
Instagram
player
is selling?
with.
No, that's not
Will
what
Instagram be able to block
Well,
that? once they-
Instagram is allowing for people really to showcase it. And personally, as an Instagram user, it'd be cool if I could mint my Instagram posts as I'm posting them on the blog.
Totally. That would be
That's
awesome.
another way to showcase it
That
off.
would
We
be-
mentioned
that's what
merge, and I think it's
that's
awesome
what I
that
thought it was
fashion
going to
brands are
be.
getting into it as well.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was going to be when we had to research this. And I'm like, okay, that's what I totally assumed that it would be. That here's a post, I'm going to make it an NFT, and do you want to buy it or whatever else, or
Well, imagine if you could make a meme, and then you make it a post, but it's an NFT, so nobody can like
unlock copy paste.
Who made the original, computer kid doing that? Who made all these ancient memes from long ago?
See, that's what I thought was happening. Some of the OGs started showing up, being like, "Here's my meme. Let me mint this."
Yeah.
And take like the.
We have a project for that I still want to see made. That is an amazing thing, but nobody gets it. But it's essentially not only sourcing memes, but the actual process of creating a meme, where it's essentially an assembly line, and then the tracing of them through their viral effects. And then rewarding both the people who are making the viral and the people who are creating them.
And then the people on Reddit can stop pretending like they make all the good stuff, because they just take it from somewhere else.
You can also, if you're doing it
right, it always has
people to add on value to the thing, and also add themselves to the value chain, right? To where like somebody comes with the variation.
Yep,
it's no longer trademark infringement and copyright infringement, whatever else, right? It's someone iterated on people, and now it's worth more.
Yeah, and the beauty of it being decentralized would be that it would totally transcend all of those laws around copyright and trademark, because it doesn't matter. This is the way the contract works, and compete.
Yeah.
So
sort of like Uber showed up and it violated an ass load of cab regulations, but
yes. Next question.
Okay. And I just wanted to get my opinion on that too, real quick, which is that like the dark side is related, in my opinion, the dark side that I am afraid of is related to what Joe was talking about, which is that, the signal to noise ratio, people that are building projects that do want to use this technology are kind of getting a black eye and a bad rep from Ponzi schemes and scam artists right now. And I thought, I hate seeing people lose money. Everyone has said this, 1,000 times, but I just want to keep saying it. I'm not happy to see things fail, but I am and maybe was hopeful that the collapse of things like Luna and to a degree Celsius and things like that would be a lesson or sort of a wake up moment. But then this week I saw Luna Classic and UST Classic, the old tokens, you know what I mean? Trading massively, like people talking about it, do this, do that, Luna Classic. And I'm like, dude, it was a scam in the beginning. Now it's extra scammy, and you're ruining people, and they believe you, so and so with Instagram,
museum value.
With Instagram, this has the potential, I think, to be great, especially if they're going to be implementing several blockchains so that you can show your work from other different projects, no matter what project it's on. If you're playing a game and you're able to uniquely achieve a certain thing or produce a certain token in that game, you could show it off on Instagram, and people could know that you're not just bullshitting. Hey, I'm a great gamer. Look at me. No, you're not. Yeah. You're just saying that.
That's useful.
But actually, no, you can prove that shit, and nobody can say you're not. Right. That's the kind of thing that, if Instagram doesn't if they don't do it the way that Twitter does it, they might actually have something. I think that, they have an opportunity to see what Twitter didn't do right and what people wanted out of it that they didn't get, and maybe apply it. So
whatever the case is, now they're competing.
Give $1 million to a political figurehead or someone for $1 million for that NFT, and then sell it for 10. Am I then able to claim $1 million loss, and I still paid off someone?
The question is who has visibility into that, and who can sell the mass block of data that clears that up at an institutional level.
I think the real point. I think the real point there, and the reason I don't think that that's a danger, that's fraud and that's tax evasion and that's bad, and you shouldn't do that. But it makes the point that this is what happens, and this is how the quote unquote elite evade all the laws that they make for us. That happens in art. So of course it happens in art NFTs,
right? But,
that kind of thing.
But now we've got a Bloomberg terminal for that, and Facebook is going to be able to feed the data.
Yep.
Yeah. The issue. Sorry. Before maybe I can include it in the next question. So Joshua, are NFTs on Instagram just a better platform for influencers? And ideally, influencers is a freaking horrible word. To shill their junk to the masses. Yes. And by the way, in my opinion, and I thought this heavily for Facebook with what was it? What was Facebook's coin?
Libra.
That it looks to all intents to be what Celsius ended up being, where let's get, only old people are on Facebook now, right? So let's get grandma to invest heavily in this thing, kill it, and essentially get crypto the biggest black eye in the Western world ever.
Well, I mean,
this is what you get when you invite.
Because electricity allows people to inflate blow-up dolls doesn't mean that all the people inflating blow-up dolls you can see out there are the entire scope of it, right? This is just another form of mass adoption.
Well, no, I think Joe was saying
always blow-up dolls with you, Greg. I swear.
I think this is the first time I've ever said blow-up dolls.
I don't trust anything that
in public, but when we're in private, dude, it's blow-up dolls.
I don't trust anything that Zuckerberg would put out there with crypto, because it's obvious he's in with all of the it's a controlled entity. The whole thing is. So
I think Joshua gets it, man. I think we're having a show on something that is silly. I think that these are stickers. I can buy a sticker of whatever, for whoever, and I can put it on my computer, and I can show everyone around me, look, I got a sticker because
I do it all the time. It's awesome. I got a sticker on my filing cabinet.
Yeah, this is a sticker or a fridge magnet. I'm sorry, Lisa. I didn't mean to offend you. It's a fridge magnet or a
sticker. Be on my fridge.
that you can. Lisa hates fridge magnets, but that's not even a joke. I mean, it's funny, but it's not a joke. But this is just a sticker that everyone can see in the interweb. That's all these are.
It could be
the dark side,
but also as a video game item, an actual atom that someone has created and can show off and use in video games or metaverses. It's an actual object that Instagram is just allowing a new way for people to showcase it.
Here's the thing.
Even sell
here's the thing. If it is to prove that I have a level 7 character, that would be awesome, right? That makes good sense. But typically what it's going to be is to prove that I'm a fan, which you could just do with a JPEG in your profile. You don't need an NFT to prove, because it's like, he obviously likes that. It's like, no, I don't know if he really likes it because he doesn't own that image. It's like, well,
it's the transportability. It's the transportability of that proof.
Also, it's this is, wearing designer clothing and not off-brand. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You could do that, and then you would be, a dollar store fan. You're not a real fan because you don't have the genuine article, which is really what NFTs are for, having the genuine article, improving.
With that said, Sean, I mean, wouldn't this be more use case in gaming, like you guys were saying, like Dave was saying, like having that proof of it?
In the beginning, NFTs, when I first learned what they were years and years ago, I was like, oh man, it changed the world. And to see where they've went to, I call them entertainment NFTs, and I sound like
you know what, man. And this is hopeful, but I think I'm more and more convinced this is true. We had a flash in the pot, or whatever of the pan, with everything that was, I don't know how else to describe it, but just kind of easy to fucking do, right? Where all of this stuff went crazy while people were still building the stuff that really we need, right? And so I'm hopeful and I'm increasingly confident that all of this stuff that's been building while everybody's been copy pasting from GitHub and creating their own procedurally generated thing has been going crazy. You're going to start seeing things come out now that's like, oh shit, these people have been building this for 2 years.
I think it's also cool
and it's ready, and that's going to be the next thing is here's what they can really freaking do. It just took a little bit longer than you had hoped.
Yeah, I think one of the good things is that all these people know what an NFT is or that it exists. So it could be easier to explain what it could do. I think it's like Henry Ford built the automobile, and everyone's like, look, man, when it rains, we can get into this and get out of the rain. And then everybody knows, the car for that. And then someone can be like, hey, you know what? You can turn it on and go places with it. And they're like, what? I just thought it was like a barn. No, you can turn it on and you can horses.
Yeah.
Like, what are you
really going to freak out?
Crazy.
People are really going to freak out when the first Instagram post with an interactive music player shows up.
To me, that's what NFTs are like. It's literally like Henry Ford invented the car, and everyone's just using it to get out of the rain.
What you're saying, Sean, is absolutely true. But the problem is usually that you don't get the, no way, I can't believe I can do that. You usually get glazed over eyes because time and time again, every time we talk to a bank, I will tell you, they bring on their blockchain expert, right? So he's some 20-something who has written some Solidity or other, and so they're the blockchain expert, and it takes 3 or 4 conversations before they understand what we're trying to do and offer. And I think really, they were brought in thinking about is a bank, so it's about asset transfer, it's about financial matters, it's about how will the bank address crypto when its customers in 8 years decide they want the bank to help them with their crypto. It's that type of crap instead of the things they should be looking at, which is how do I prevent fraud internally? How do I prevent security issues that affect my customers? They don't even look at that because their blockchain expert is so focused on crypto Twitter bullshit. That's all they know about, right? And even to the point where it's like, we know we could have NFTs, but I don't know if that really, Joe, I know you're talking to me about NFTs, but I don't know how that would work at our bank. And like, I'm not fucking talking about art NFTs that are stickers, like you say, for your bank customers. This is their real utility here, and it's so hard to cut through the bullshit that it's really affected. It's like we should have probably shut down our project and waited 5 years, instead of building. because frankly, it's like we could have everything in the world, and you go to the people who actually do need it, and they don't even have the slightest understanding of it, because the entire fucking world outside is just talking about number go up. That's all they give a shit about. Frank, that's it.
Well, maybe that's what this bear market will really help too. We've talked about that. The benefits of a bear market is, get rid of some of that. And I was on this morning with someone with the Very Dow doing an interview, and he said that, a lot of like some old school big crypto people have pulled out of the market completely because of the way that crypto has just gone to this number go up, and with the 2017 ICO thing and all that. And they're just waiting for all these weekends to get out and go back to that cypherpunk, what crypto was meant to be, what Bitcoin was meant to be.
Fundamentals. And I've gotten to the point where I don't want anything to do, even though there might be excitement around it, or we could get attention doing something. It's like it is so worthless long term, unless it is based on fundamentals and the actual philosophical positives of what this tech does. Because this tech is amazing, but everybody's so distracted by the bullshit that we can't actually do the things that are amazing.
I learned that recently. I don't think. I learned that. I learned that lesson. I think it is, because I didn't think it was true until recently.
Well, no, I agree with you that it's a phenomenon, but I don't think it's the only phenomenon. I think that the good stuff is happening.
Anything I talk about isn't like in parallel. Okay, here's all that exists in the world. Stream. But like I was going to say, I experienced that myself with the company that I'm building in Gainesville, but more specifically with Den.Social, and how long I've been kind of like trying to cut through the bullshit with that, I guess. And here's the mistake I made, and I didn't know I was making it until all of this happened. The mistake I made was I'm somebody who would unironically call myself an OG Bitcoiner, right? So I've been hanging out watching this shit for a long time, and I saw this wave of adoption of people like, oh, it's finally, people are finally getting it. People are finally finding value in it. And so I see all these hype conversations happening about like play to earn and this and that and whatever. Now that's not specifically what Den was built for, but it is a happy side effect of the way that Den works. So all these things that people are talking about, I started incorporating that into my messaging when I'm trying to talk to people about what we're doing. You know what I mean? Because I thought that's what people wanted. And so, fast forward like a year or so down the road, and I realized like, oh, I was reaching out, getting people who don't care about what we're doing just because they can use this platform for what they're doing, which is actually kind of a drain on us. And I'm not sure if it's worth the adoption of that kind of person to cater to. Like, I don't, you know what I mean? So
that's like when we went to Bitcoin Miami, it's like Bitcoin just tried to go be legacy financial. And
yeah,
it's disgusting. Like you walk in there and it just feels like you're at a finance conference.
Right.
Like it doesn't feel like
the Goldman
Bitcoin
Sachs guys bought all
the
seats.
There's one dude walking around that looks like Bitcoin Jesus. Everybody else is in a suit and trying to be legacy finance, And I'm like, what?
Wannabe bankers. Yep.
Stop trying to pretend that that you're like those people, because they're not going to accept you even if you do.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And that was my whole, like the entire issue, even back to the Bitcoin fork, was that it was all about, well, we want institutional money coming. Why? I just want number to go up. That's all I want. I just want this to be worth more, which is the bullshit. Happens. Because
all the fake paper that they printed just floods out of it, causes the market to drop.
Exactly. It led to what we have now. If that stuff wouldn't have happened, if Bitcoin still had as its primary purpose digital cash, it wasn't store value. Store value is there, yes, but the primary purpose was fundamentally digital cash. It would be worth radically more than it is today if they would have fucking stuck to the philosophical guns. And they didn't. They said like, oh, we want to bring in institutional money. We want to be junior bankers. And that's where we're at, right? So horrible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anyway. I think they're going to fail at that, right? Like that's ultimately what we're watching right now. Yes. The institutional side of crypto is, abandoning at rapid speed. Yeah. That's what we just saw. That's why I think we can say that
that's true.
If there's a bottom to be found, we're pretty much there. Because all of that institutional cash that was fluffing the numbers is vapor now. They took it out because they needed to pay their pipers, and there may be a little bit more to go, but they were never really putting value in because it was never really value to begin with.
Yeah, you're talking about like with
They weren't
3AC and was it Valkyrie or whoever their name is, like where there's all this exposure to. They're making investments
they were dealing in Fed fund money, right? Like
yeah, right, exactly. Free money. Fuck it, if we lose it, we'll have more.
Yep. The
But
same reason
free anyway.
The, naked shorts are possible because they have unlimited funds, right? So that's a really good point. I totally agree, and maybe it's just the opportunity is for all these people who are upset at this collapse to now learn. But the problem is, I'm not seeing anyone doing that. I'm not seeing anyone saying, well, you shouldn't have ever invested in this. This is what it's really about. You should pay attention to this and understand the fundamentals instead of it just being
I don't know, man. I think people have
being the wise listeners of the show.
Stable coins. No one's doing an algorithmic stable coin again. I think that's done.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
What about MakerDAO? Aren't they still doing that?
Though, there is one interesting factor going on right now, and this is obviously the companies that over leveraged and got liquidated aside. We are not seeing a big transfer out of like USDT and USDC back into fiat. So what these institutions are doing is they are selling back into stablecoin, and they are holding these stablecoins because they're waiting to buy back in. People are not done with crypto, you know.
Didn't Tether exit money back? 20? It's not. Luckily, it's not massive. There are a bunch of like intentionally scary articles that Tether is collapsing, but it's, I think, what?
How long has that been going on, though, man? Like,
yeah.
I was convinced of the Tether conspiracy theory. You go back on like the beginning of Global Crypto Press, that was my big thing, man. I was like, because it was so shady. But the fact they're still around, I kind of just gave it up. Like, okay, you must have something in the bank. I don't know. I figured you'd be done by now.
Maybe they just got the psyche to the point where people don't really care if it's backed. You know,
partners.
Anyway, they use a really good point though, is that they diversify where their funds are held. So in a bunch of banks in a bunch of different countries, and if those countries' governments knew where their money was being held, they could become a target for them to governments to pass some weird regulation that allows them to seize their funds. So they are kind of keeping it a secret, and there's valid reason to do so when you have that much, reserves spread that widely. So they might be okay.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, Ross, will be if there is a global push for central bank digital, that theoretically Tether would be able. The one positive about it is they would be able to prove reserves. Theoretically.
Yeah. USD.
It's also stably anchored to the purchasing power of the dollar when you're in a stable coin, though. So.
Well, they're weird because they say it's not even all in fiat. They say it's in assets, stocks, bonds, and all this other weird stuff. USDC, they really do have $1-for-$1, right?
Right.
My understanding? Okay,
yeah. Okay, next question. Jacob Wayne, will Instagram actually use blockchain tech to ensure value? Unlikely. Or will they adopt the word NFT and take it off chain? Now, from our understanding, they are actually not doing anything in blockchain themselves. They are just watching Ethereum, Solana, Polygon, and oh geez, did I miss?
That's all right. We did answer the question quite extensively. I think we just didn't read it.
Are you sure? Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Well, no, maybe go for like
Dragon Chain Hodler.
Because
where
really,
does the value come from in NFTs on Instagram? Can you post NFTs on Instagram or just receive? It would be good to know.
You're tying in your wallet basically, and you're able to show off anything you have in your wallet.
You're claiming them, and you can show them. I don't know if it's going to be a profile visibility or if it's a collection visibility.
I hope it's posts so that people can write smart contracts that replace the image after it's been posted.
Yeah,
individual.
Will do you guys know?
I think that would be a lot of fun.
Will
Instagram moderation isn't retroactive?
Will Instagram be receiving fees or getting any financial gain from doing this?
Yeah, from sales. That's actually the problem too. Is that there's now a new article coming out that developers who are working in the MetaQuest or the metaverse, that the Facebook is charging 30% of the developers when they post new apps or games. So it's very similar to Apple or Google, where they charge 30% of their app stores. But for NFTs, OpenSea charges 4%. I'm sure they're going to do something very similar, like 4% probably for NFT sales.
I think Instagram is just going to do whatever is easiest for people to understand. Whether But
I think the fees are where that's going to be a real issue. That's where, that's where the banksters make all their money, and that's what these businesses are learning.
I didn't see anything about a marketplace.
I see them copying Mirror XYZ, honestly, more than anything.
Because it looks like it's just for sharing them, not sharing them. And here is one of these, by the way.
But just
sharing them in terms of here's something I have, look at it. Right.
It sounds like Jay has a pretty good understanding of what the capabilities are there. You could probably answer that one.
Yeah, as far as like the NFT, they haven't announced there would actually be an NFT marketplace where you can actually sell them. I'm sure that will be a future aspect. But I do believe, though, in like the Facebook or Meta Horizon world, that's where we can exchange these NFTs on a marketplace. Of course, the good thing is, though, it's just introducing people to having NFTs in this digital wallet. So eventually people can just, of course, do, peer-to-peer trading, which there would be no actual transaction fees because they realize, hey, I could just do this without Facebook in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. And beyond posts, you would think that they would tie your account to an NFT. So I could build my account up to however many million followers and then sell the account NFT. That would be a beautiful thing. Smart utility, right? You think
that sounds like something that they would actually bulk at allowing.
I know it. They won't, because it's like, oh, wait a minute, you can't do that. No, but you can sell it. You can sell a password though. Let's see here. Okay, now we get to Jacob Wayne. Will it use blockchain tech? Yeah, they're just watching, right? They're just going to use the other chains. You can claim those. You can show them, share them, right? That's what it sounds like. So it doesn't sound like they're going to actually put their posts on chain as Dragon Chain would love, right? Or Den.Social would do. But
it's actually an interesting question, because when you think about it, like OpenSea eventually implemented a storage medium to a certain degree that they could share to other places. But for a while it was like a lot of projects just like posted their images to a shared drive that they could, like you could basically go on Google Drive and find the links to all these NFTs. That's what the right click brigades were harping on, right? Is that this wasn't decentralized. This was just an image stored somewhere that that anybody could go get. Instagram probably sees a little bit of value in encouraging people to stash their original assets that are linked to NFTs on their servers.
You think they're going to store them? I think
that they may find that to be a valuable market.
Except the fact that if some of them have anything dynamic, that it wouldn't support it.
That's because I think they might make that mistake by misunderstanding the fundamental nature of the NFT.
Yeah.
But I think early on they may have it may be a sort of thing where like only the ones that are dumb images are compatible, kind of like with the Twitter profile stuff.
Yeah. And only if you have an iPhone, right? That's the other.
I like the ones where the render data is in the token itself. If you squeeze it down small enough to fit it into the token itself, and then you render it from that, the rendering is done client side from the data, and it renders the same way every time.
I like the how do you say it? An algorithmic or programmatic generation, the deterministic. So you're not actually storing the image raster JPEG,
right, yeah,
somewhere.
The vector maybe the vector points or something. Yeah.
That's the way I like it. So we had a talk on here maybe a year ago about that. There was like, how do we optimize NFTs so we can fit? It's like, why would you? Why the?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's what PAC is doing, right?
Yep. I don't know. Okay, we're gonna go to the next one.
It looks like we might be able, for the first time in a long time, we could actually get through all the questions today.
Yeah. Cryptocurrency topic: decentralized social NFTs versus centralized.
Cool. We can continue the same conversation then, because we were just talking about storage of the images and things like that.
And the accounts, right?
And
the governance, Den.Social, the fact that you can have ownership, governance, utility.
What would a centralized NFT?
Here's an interesting use case.
The Instagram NFTs model, or I don't know. Okay, what's up?
Let's say you want to form a real estate investment trust, and you don't want to do it using traditional structures. And let's say you want to use that to buy data centers. Community governance of data centers through fractional ownership of NFT might be a cool way to go about it.
So you can fractionalize the governance of the centralized storage.
Yes. Interesting. Well, I mean, and maybe you can go to a federated model, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, that's yeah. I mean,
that could be the ultimate decentralized.
Or the management. Maybe not the governance is not the right word, but the actual operation
along
of
those lines, Greg. These guys are starting a record company, and what you can actually do is you can fund the recording process for these artists and get the music out, and then you and anyone else who owns however many X amount of NFTs it was split between are entitled to 100% of the streaming income for that song for life of the song. So that's pretty cool, man.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Pennies and pennies. I'm just joking, but
that
is awesome.
Well, it really is, yeah.
Yeah,
but,
that is awesome though. I would tell you, I was a musician in the 90s, right? Retired now, right? And I was blown away that the internet didn't revolutionize that industry. And then blown away that blockchain didn't revolutionize that industry. It blows my mind.
The internet didn't revolutionize that industry.
It didn't. It's like it's still, everything is still funneled through the labels. You should have had with the internet the ability for any artist to directly sell their art.
Right.
And
well, I mean, it's because of contract terms and like these periods of ownership that they have over the rights to publish. That's technically what record companies.
There's big labels now, but the big labels are now owned by artists. It seems like.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, there's a certain failure
that greasy
to distinguish.
record executive anymore. Like there's nothing to do with the music. That doesn't even like it. Like they're gone. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with the exception of maybe like Trent Reznor and a few other outlaws out there doing something weird.
Trent puts all of his stems up for anybody who wants to download them. He gives the uncompressed audio stems for anybody who wants to remix and make their own version of it or whatever. It's really interesting.
You can use his stuff for derivative works as long as
he should do freaking NFTs. Hey Trent, if you're watching, we can consult on how to do it right.
I think ultimately there is a thing that the record labels can do that you can't do as an independent artist, which is offer, a few $100,000 up front for a record that will sell a few million, and they all take it, man, because they're dead broke. They've been broke artists for so long that they jump at that, and that scam will always work, I think.
Right, exactly, and that's how people sell their soul to a company for 4 records, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And why you can't have a direct artist representation situation going on.
That's what happened to one of my favorite music artists, Poe. That's what happened to her. She had to wait for the end of to the expiration of her contract. She said that she couldn't even sing her songs in her shower at home without it being a violation of her deal with the record label.
Countless. I know. I have tons of friends that have had trouble where they just can't get access to. I got cussed out because I went to work for Disney because one of my friends, they own some of his material, and he can't, even if he pays for it, can't get it. There's no way to get it.
I think that's ultimately last word on the topic, though. Ultimately, the question for decentralized versus centralized social NFTs, right? Does the social platform own you, or do you own yourself?
Good question. Yeah. Are you the old are you the product of the customer argument?
And that's why, I mean, frankly, any NFTs on a social platform should include the rights to that content that you produce. I mean, the fact that the content is yours by license, and it's traditional stuff. It's simple stuff. It's not.
Well, by all historical evidence, I think we're going to get the centralized version of that when we're talking about Instagram.
Yeah. Good guess, probably. Kratos God of Boy has the very last question. Will Instagram vet NFT projects before putting them on their platform? What do you want to say is almost certain guarantee that that's the truth? In the very least, that they will blacklist some if they don't.
I think they'll do the same damn thing that Twitter does and just leave the vetting to OpenSea and pass through the verification status.
That's the wrong way, in my opinion. But
they censor now, so they'll censor. They'll censor later. Yeah,
I mean,
promise you, there will not be conservative NFTs that don't have a little fog over them that says "not community safe."
Yeah, they'll censor the same things that they censor now that are JPEGs.
Yeah.
And anything that could come from 4chan, as an example, is like there.
Anything funny, they hate that.
Yes, anything that might be funny at all,
and anything that tends to lead people away from the Instagram platform.
If it makes you think, if it makes you uncomfortable, which makes you think, if it makes you, if it offends you, which makes you think, then it's not allowed.
Or if it's truthful in any way.
That's so hilarious.
They probably won't let you display your Den ownership NFTs and talk about the fact that if you come over here, you can have actual rights over your actual content and not have it actually pumped into Bloomberg's sausage machine where they commoditize you.
Nobody should do this, but I experiment sometimes, and I gave Twitter money, or I tried to run an ad for people that were disappointed with Truth.Social. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, we do all the things they purported to do. We actually have that, like the real version over here, and they wouldn't run the ad. It was like, no, we're going to run that.
Yeah,
you're going to run the ad on Truth.Social for Twitter or for where?
On Twitter. So Truth.Social was trending. It just happened to be trending, and I noticed. So I threw a snarky comment into the wind, and I noticed a few. There was a few.
Post, okay.
Yeah, there was a few click throughs. So I was like, oh yeah, here, promote the post. And then they're like, yeah, you can't do that. And I was like, okay.
What are you still doing here? It's not a question they'll let you ask in advertisement.
This is why you're insolvent.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyway, different topic.
Okay. So we are at the 5-minute remaining mark, and I have a response. I have like 9 minutes now, 9.5 minutes. Anyway, doesn't matter how much. So let's go through. Thanks everybody. I think we've all remained friends even after an abortion debate, which is pretty healthy.
It's hard.
Amazing.
More people should be trying to do that. Have conversations where you disagree with people and you end without trying to convert.
Yes.
I still think a couple.
I love you all. I don't care if we disagree about anything on this stuff. So it's all great. Okay. So let's go through, and I'm gonna try something here. Hey, so Dave, what's coming up new?
Cool. Awesome. So speaking of censorship and stuff like that, we just most recently finished a round of tools for that. So there are community censorship tools. Censorship's not always a bad thing as long as it's self-governance censorship, right? In my opinion. And so now we have that in place. We are getting ready to ship anonymity tools on Den.Social. So that's our next big feature. You'll be able to, in your specific community, for example, Lisa, Firearms is live now. We should go decorate that and put some artwork up, and maybe that video with you and Clint Westwood can be a good intro for the Firearms there. Sure. But so within the communities now, we can have anonymous posts, and you can, interestingly, once it's live, we'll be able to decide if you want to allow that or not. Or if you only want to allow anonymous posts. So it should be interesting. So that's going on over at Den, as well as, let's see.
I made a little commercial for crypto.com for buying guns with crypto.
Cool. We'll host, we'll put it, we'll show it. We won't censor that. So check out some of the new tools. There's a lot of I could go on about it, but there's a lot of stuff. There's some, if you are on Den, just a reminder that even if you don't own any of the NFTs or the lot for communities, you can still vote in every DAO decision that's made, right? So check that out and vote in it. You get a behavioral score if you don't have any lot. So go be awesome and you'll have a say.
There you go. Right on. Now, Lisa, what's up?
Hey, so I've got my weekly or my daily show from at 4 Central. On YouTube, and I'm going to be posting Amanda's helping me learn how to post in the World Blockchain Roundtable to see if we can, if hosts can post. I'm going to try to do a vote. I'm trying to learn more to get more engaged on Den. So I'm like trying to use all the tools. I'm using my energy every day. I'm trying to be more active on Den. So if you guys see me in there, I'm trying to chat and reply and figure things out. So I might be a little messy. Go ahead and vote me down if you need to teach me a lesson.
That's a good attitude to have. That's a healthy attitude.
I want to learn. So I'm okay with breaking things and being messy and asking questions and learning. So I'm trying to really get more active in there. We've got the Team Mighty celebration coming up August 6th. And so that's a charity family foundation that we started after my daughter passed away. So we recognize a warrior and a champion in the community that are either struggling with something that she struggled with, foster care, adoption, cancer, heart issues, organ donation, different things, special needs, different things. So we celebrate somebody that's struggling with that as the warrior of the year. and they get to decide, or their family gets to decide, where the proceeds of the charity event will go that year. And then we also celebrate a champion, which is somebody who's doing something great in the community to get around a family who's struggling with something like that, or doing something great to support one of those efforts. And so that will all be happening in Oklahoma City on August 6th. We've got Bix Weir coming in, Felisa from Patriot Party Rocks, Brent Hamachek from Human Events, Pearl's coming in to sing. We've got hopefully Greg from Rivet coming in to perform, and a few other friends coming down. Johnny Litecoin's going to come help me MC, and people are coming in and going to be at the river sport. We've got like water rafting and all kinds of stuff during the day, and then we'll have our event that evening.
Nice.
I'm sorry.
Perform.
Well, Greg's going to sing for us.
Yeah.
Who knows what else?
Off the old acoustic and mic it up.
No.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't know you did that. I was just wondering. Okay. Cool.
Oh
Yeah, and
once upon a
everybody's
time.
welcome. We're going to have a VIP party afterwards. I've already got so it's Oklahoma, so I'm trying to do something really fun for a VIP party afterwards, and we've got a whole weekend thing. Bix Weir from Road to Root is coming in the night before and going to do a full show, and he's going to also make that a fundraiser for Team Mighty. So we're really excited about all that. So that's kind of like consuming me right now. With when I'm not doing my show, I'm focused on that event. We're also looking for silent auction items. So if your business or and it would be a tax deductible donation. So you can contact me at litecoinlisa.net. It's spelled out Litecoin on my website, on the contact if you're interested in making a donation or have a silent auction item to help out with the event. We are definitely looking for those. So
nice. Nice. Even though you might get us banned with your red hat, it's still thanks for coming on. It's cool. All right, Jay, and I actually wanted to see these cans up close.
Yeah, those are great.
Eden cans for the upcoming release of Eden, the NFT game. We were just recently at Consensus and Decentral Austin, where we announced we're actually giving away free NFTs for people who join our whitelist or share on social media. So if you visit ed3n.world, you can join the NFT giveaway hosted by Wordpool. We're giving away promotional artworks. At the moment, they are promotional artwork NFTs, but in the future, we're looking at ways to add utility or maybe even airdrop to these early people.
Nice. Well,
those look good.
By the way, what's the date? What date's the launch? And
we haven't announced the launch date yet.
Okay.
But stay tuned. You can, of course, we'll make all the announcements on our Twitter and our Discord from ed3n.world.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. I'm excited for it. So I'm in a whitelist. Go get on a whitelist. It's awesome stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be in there. I'm on the whitelist, and Joe and I and at least a third denizen has talked about having a den garden based on this game. So we can have our own like metaverse gardeners going on there. That'll be great.
Yeah. Den can have its own planet, garden, however it's created. As far as the idea of collaboration, the more that you grow your plants, then you'll be able to earn more dirt coins. So there is a grow to earn, as we're calling it.
Hey, that's a grow to earn. Nice. Because that's what
cool.
I've been looking for something to do with my Decentraland estate, and like that's a really good. Yeah, we could put the garden there.
That's awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
I love it. I will contribute. Okay. Thanks, Jay. Greg, what is going on this week?
The three things that I want to cover real quick. First off, Rivet news. July 1, we're going to be, or July, the first week of July, probably not July 1st, but after Austin gets back from camp with his kids, we are going to be dropping a new price. The base price of Rivet will cut to half of what it currently is. So instead of $1 for 100,000 requests, you'll be able to get requests for 50 cents per 100,000. It goes down from there depending on volume, depending on whether you display a banner. Like there are a lot of things that you can do. Bottom end price could be as low as 25 cents per 100,000. That is significantly under the rest of the industry. And
yeah, say that again. What was that pricing?
25 cents for 100,000 is the lowest you could get discount wise.
That's incredible.
So it's going to hopefully help people get through the storm here. That are, we're hoping to bring in great projects first. So we'll put up like a form that people can use, because we're arranging this team by team after you get to that first, after you get past the volume discount, which will automatically be applied starting from 50 cents per 100,000. So the other thing that I want to touch on, go check out DonorSee. This is Gret Gleyer's charity application that may or may not have gotten him into some kind of trouble with some people who decided to kill him in his sleep. Help this guy live on, because he was doing something good, and we got to support those kinds of things if we're going to be true to our values. Number 3, and this is probably the last thing I'll say. The Revolt token is now on public sale. So if you wanted to get into Cult but weren't early, and you would rather do it on Polygon, Revolt is like dead nothing right now. And they just opened the public sale. They're going to burn in 24 hours. So like less than 24 hours from now, they're going to burn everything that doesn't sell. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That's cool.
That's
Thanks for the heads up on that.
All right. Thanks, Greg. Next, Sean. Sean is up. What's up this week?
Well, check out me and Lisa, our show on Tuesday, Truth Tuesdays, doing the crypto meme review, probably be out this weekend. If you have any crypto memes, you can send it to me on Twitter or Instagram, or just put hashtag SS crypto meme. I think that's probably about it, man. That's all I got going on this week.
All right.
Catch me here. Catch me on Tuesdays and this weekend. That's about it.
Right on. Right. Well, thanks for being on. And Ross.
Yeah. Go cryptopress.com for all the latest. We're also found on Apple News and Google News. An article I'd probably suggest reading right now is we question the lawyers of the guy who is suing Elon Musk for his Dogecoin losses. We looked into it, and this guy's lawsuit claims that he's such a big fan of Elon Musk. When Elon mentioned Dogecoin, he just had to buy some. And since then, he's lost all of his money. Well, what's really ironic is we dug back in time and found out that you could have waited 20 months between Elon talking about Dogecoin and when this guy bought it. And if you waited 20 months to buy Dogecoin, you would be up 500% still. So how big of a fan can this guy really be of Elon Musk if you waited almost 2 years of Elon plugging this coin to buy it? Really questionable. And then the other thing is they accuse him of running a pyramid scheme. But I don't think Elon sold anything. So he would officially be like the worst scammer in the world who just forgot to make money on the scam. So we actually posed these questions to the lawyers behind the case, globalcryptopress.com.
Thank you.
Awesome, man.
I'm there. I'll read that.
Well done.
Wow. All right, and then I will give updates. Thanks, by the way, Jay. Thanks, by Ross for coming on. And for Dragon Chain, we're building stuff, continuing to build stuff. There's a lot going on in Den. We have a couple of projects that hopefully will be announced soon that are related to NFTs, gaming, a couple other things, and of course a couple of enterprise things as well that hopefully we'll be able to announce that soon. So just follow us on Dragon Chain on Twitter and on Den, and do go and vote on any of the roundtable governance issues that pop up, please. It's always good to get more input, and it doesn't cost anything to vote. It's not like it's Ethereum with a big fee there on a contract call. So I think that's it. I did not hit the within 5 minutes of the end, so that's an interesting thing to note, and I think that's it. So thanks, everybody.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, all capital, label radical yet rational. A doctrinal approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.